Hey, everybody, welcome to Virtual Trek Con with Sirach Lofton, of course.
Hello, hello.
And Melissa Longo, of course.
Hello.
We've got the Delta Flyers here. Which ones? All of them. We've got Robbie, we got Rebecca, Megan, Garrett. Garrett's wearing an awesome Delta Flyer shirt. If you're just listening in, you are missing out. You should check this sweater out. How's everybody doing today?
And Megan.
Good. Great.
Doing good.
Didn't I say Megan?
Yeah.
Oh,
You did?
Felt so terrible.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And my name's Ryan T. Husk, by the way.
You forgot Megan. Is that what you just said?
I don't know.
Still want to forget
Megan.
Megan.
All right.
Thank you, though, for looking out for me. But
It's very kind of you.
So first things first, everybody, you know Robbie and Garrett as Tom Paris and Harry Kim. Also, the four of them work on the Delta Flyers. They are going warp speed through all of Voyager. They're currently on season 7. I don't know what you want to tell us that you may have not already said on your show. But first of all, first things first, actually, I'd like to know from Rebecca and Megan, if possible, because I know we know your answers, Robbie and Garrett. Rebecca and Megan, had you seen all of Voyager before you took this trip with the Delta Flyers?
All of it, no.
Some of it, yes, correct.
Some of it, yes.
yeah, I think I've seen all of it. Like, I'd watch it with my brother, and when you get to like episodes that I haven't seen in a long time, I'm slowly remembering. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember watching that one, thinking I've never seen it, but I've probably missed some. I don't know.
Can I say this?
No.
That's a sign of people that have been together for a while. She knows where he's going.
At one point.
What's that?
She dressed as 7 of 9 for Halloween when she was young.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
When I was
cute.
growing up.
Yeah, when she was growing up, she was 7 of 9. She dressed like 7 of 9. How old were you? Do you remember?
Middle school.
7 or 9.
Oh.
Of course. Like, who would she dress as? Chakotay? Like, it's kind of...
You could flip gender on that. That'd be really cool. Your next one, she flipped Chakotay. Thank you, Robbie. You said that's a great one. Here you go.
You put the tattoo.
Tom Paris for the cruise.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Tom Paris face.
Oh, where do I?
We'll figure that out later.
Okay, we'll figure that out later. We already didn't you?
So one time there was a director on a show I was working on, and I came down to set, and she had ordered somewhere online like a mask with an elastic band that was like a photo of Tom Paris, but it was really big. It was like supersized mask.
That big. It was like the size of your head.
I thought it was bigger. No. But it had elastic band, and so everybody was passing it around. So since I can't go on the cruise this year because of work, I said we should order one of those masks, and Megan or Garrett could wear it, and the fans.
Yeah,
cosplaying Robbie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come out on the stage for my stand-up wearing that mask. That's what I should do.
That's what you should do. Yeah.
Are you doing stand-up again this year, Garrett?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh boy.
Had you guys ever watched it before? Had you guys watched it start to finish?
No, definitely not me.
Robbie actually doesn't really remember working on the show.
That's not exaggerated, but there's a lot of stuff I don't remember. I just don't, like, entire episodes. In fact, we reviewed one recently, and Garrett was like, "Oh, you're gonna."
Was it Drive?
I think it was Drive, the episode Drive.
Yeah.
I didn't remember anything about it, and then when
you remember the uniforms, that's it.
I remember the costume because it was a cool racing outfit or something.
Yeah.
And I've photos of that. But when, Garrett's like, you can't remember this? I was like, no, I don't remember anything about it. And it was mostly Garrett and me and Roxanne. It was really, and one guest star. It was a huge episode for my character and Garrett's character, but I didn't remember any of it. Not a thing.
These look amazing.
No,
everybody remembers these.
That's
really so cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
They are.
Yeah.
Were you guys getting revisions like day of?
I think we usually got them the night before, or it would be close to filming, but I don't think we got them day of very often. That was rare.
But it did happen. I do remember.
It did happen
a few times. Yeah. How about you guys on Deep Space?
Yeah, we would get sometimes day of, where whole scenes are like just changed around, which I was trying to equate like deleting all that stuff in your head to not remembering filming stuff, because you can sometimes get into the mode of like forget everything you just learned about that scene, and now it's a whole nother scene, and you have to change the whole tone and everything, and so sometimes you have to just delete stuff from your head.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, as we go through stuff, because we have so much to do coming up next, you just like push the last episode out of your mind type thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I was never a good memorizer. Like memorizing lines for me was hard. I had to drill it and drill it and drill it. So I had to, you're right. I think I had to just be able to dump it and like clean the slate, move on. So maybe that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because I remember watching stuff and not, sorry. Yeah, I remember seeing stuff too, like the same as you guys, where I'd look at him like, I don't remember that scene. I don't remember where he threw that milkshake on me, like I would have remembered that. But partly of it is too because I was super young, but I also think it's that you have to delete stuff. But what were you saying, Melissa?
No, I was going to ask, so being that you didn't remember some stuff, or what was the most surprising things that you found through your rewatch?
What do you say?
I was just going to say, Robbie and I both discovered that the character of Kes, played by Jennifer Lean, was a very integral character to the the entire show. Really
huge, much bigger.
I think Robbie and I both thought of that character before the rewatch as almost like an afterthought character. Like it was, just an extra appendage you didn't need. But in the rewatch, we realized, man, she's really such an important character, and it kind of sucks that she had to go, to be honest. So.
Yeah, and I think the reason she was so important is because she was critical in other characters' growth as well. It wasn't just like her stories were cool. It was like, oh my God, I forgot that the Doctor would not have taken that turn if Kes wasn't there, or whatever. So many characters, Tom Paris too, all of us.
And it's so crazy because she was the youngest of all the characters. Not only the actress, she was the youngest actor, but the character.
She was like one or something, right?
Yeah, but yet she was the Yoda of the show. She was the wise seer. She would give people counsel. She would help people understand what their path was. It was just crazy, and we didn't realize that when we saw the show. So,
I wonder if was Kes, I think Kes was one or maybe two. I don't really remember. And I remember Ocampa's.
I think she was two.
Ocampa's, they lived to be like 9 or something. If I remember correctly,
I thought it was like 6.
And I wonder if they didn't create that type of character just assuming that we would see basically her entire life through, the course of the entire series, and then at the end she dies or something happened. She ends her life, and so I always just kind of assumed that they created that character to basically, bookend her entire life, bookends the series, and it's kind of a tragedy that we didn't get to see that, because they had some great plans for her.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think they did create that character thinking it would span the 7-year run of the series. And then when they wrote that character out to bring 7 of 9 in, I think one thing I forgot is in season 6 she came back. I didn't remember that.
Kes came back.
Kes came back as a character in an episode that I had forgotten about. And when we rewatched it,
we both forgot.
We both forgot, yeah. And it was an episode where I was like, why did they do that to her character? Because it was really, in my opinion, it damaged the integrity of that character, and so much of what they did the first 3 years.
So I've been curious about this. I just wanted to hear more about the Delta Flyers. Anybody that's watching this that has not seen the Delta Flyers, check them out. thedeltaflyers.org. Very important. Remember ORG, thedeltaflyers.org. Check them out. There's still plenty of time and still plenty of goodies to enjoy with them. But can you take us through a typical week in the world of the Delta Flyers? Like who does what, on Monday, Tuesday, by Wednesday, you got to have this or we're in trouble. And Megan's always like, oh boy, John Smith posting in our group again. Here, what do we do? What's just like a typical week look like in your world?
You've heard about John Smith. Huh?
Who hasn't? This guy's a menace.
I should keep my mouth shut more.
I wish we had, like, the way you laid it out sounds wonderful. Like, every Monday this, and every Wednesday I wish it were that organized. I think between Garrett's schedule with a lot of conventions and travel and other things, we have to schedule based on, like, I direct or produce, so there's that schedule. So often we try to get ahead in terms of our recording, because we know there's going to be these big holes where Garrett's out of the country and I'm on set, and we may not record for 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes. So we bank a lot of episodes. So whenever Garrett and I have an overlap where we both have some time, which is usually weekends these days, we'll try to bang out, get in there and do some interviews. We do a lot of guest interviews from crew members and cast. We do a lot of bonus content, plus we do the recaps. So our weekends are often filled with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, when Robbie was not in Vancouver, that was ideal because he had Monday through the entire week was basically open. So we could do a lot of banking. But now that he's in Vancouver producing, that's tough because he only has Saturday and Sunday. And then I typically travel or go to some type of event or whatever on Saturdays and Sundays. So that makes it difficult to schedule. So that's probably the toughest thing that we have to deal with is scheduling more than anything else.
Yeah. So we have typical weeks, basically. They're all different.
No, that's not true. I mean, I think Megan and I have pretty typical weeks when we're editing and stuff because we have to have the podcast done by a certain date. But in terms of the day-to-day, like there's nothing specific.
Yeah.
But we just we have to get the episodes edited and done by, usually we try Friday. Usually.
Yeah.
Rebecca and Megan, what do you do besides editing on the team?
We wrangle these guys.
Yeah.
They wrangle us and
handle the scheduling. Sounds like
they do customer service.
Customer service.
Merch is Rebecca right now. Yeah. So,
or try to organize the schedule. Like her and I communicate a lot with each other, saying like, is so and so available? Like, is Garrett available for this or that? And then we have production calls with some of our tiers, and so scheduling that in advance, making sure that those dates work. So there's a lot of stuff, like we'll micromanage each other, but at the same time we can all work independently for the most part too.
Megan and Rebecca have their own Zoom call, just those two with the highest tier. Is it admirals and captains or just admirals? What is it?
Just admirals.
Admirals, just the highest tier Patreon supporters. They have a separate Zoom call with just Megan and Rebecca, so that's another plus for them. Yeah.
When you guys are doing the rewatches, what's the mindset when you're watching it, like going into it? Does it feel like are you anticipating it? Are you excited about it? Does it feel like work?
It's a little stressful for me because I have to make notes as I go. And so like when I rewatch an episode, I would say average is like 3 hours or more that I sit down and, like, even though the episode's only 45 minutes or whatever the running time is, I'm starting, stopping, going back, looking at different moments, trying to make notes of like, oh, I think I remember something about that, or I don't know. It takes a while. It's a little stressful for me because I got a remote in one hand and my phone in the other for notes.
Life is rough, man. I mean, sometimes you have to hold you need a third hand for a beer. I mean, life is
third hand for a beer.
Walk in the park.
But Robbie, are you looking at it from a director's standpoint when you're watching it? Or are you looking at it from an actor's standpoint?
Both.
Sometimes both, I would say. Like, I definitely am more aware of the technical side now than I was back then. Just of like why the director shot it that way, or why they put the camera where they put it, or why they blocked the actors. We've noticed a lot on the show, blocking the actors in a way that like they're standing really too close to each other.
Yeah.
Force a shot. And I was like, I don't remember it being so forced, but it sometimes looks really forced.
Yeah. You stand over his shoulder and you stand over his shoulder. The three of you all
Are we seeing
together.
a dog? Speaking of blocking, is there a dog trying to block the frame?
Is that Walter?
I've got to see this big guy. I know he's a big boy.
He's so cute.
Come up, say hi. Come up. There he is.
Oh my gosh.
What's that over there? Look over there.
Nope.
This dog could fit in the left
goodness.
paw of that dog, probably.
Aw.
So cute.
What's that dog's name? The little guy?
Nala.
Nala, it's a girl.
Nala.
Half Chihuahua, half Yorkie. That's
Oh.
From The
Yorkie.
Lion King,
7
named
pounds.
after The Lion King?
Yes, because she looked like Nala from Lion King exactly when she was a puppy. But
Nice.
7
One of-
pounds.
One of our podcast listeners actually did some art of our dog, some beautiful art. Like, I love how fans will sometimes hook onto some part of our lives, a character or our dog or whatever, and create such amazing, great gifts for us. So we've got it back at home, this drawing, pencil drawing. It's beautiful of Walter.
Speaking of pets, though, we have a blooper reel that we put out every month of the podcast, just like
No
of all
way, that's great.
stuff. And
You guys do that? You guys should.
No,
No,
we've said in the past that all of our bloopers cannot make it on a blooper reel. They're cut out. We can't.
Especially with Ryan's comedies.
I know. I've tried to edit some things in the past. I'm like, none of this. It's going to be like 10 seconds. The stuff we can use. So no, sorry.
Ours average about like 5 minutes or so,
We have a
like
lot
in the reel. But I usually include like material from about 3 or 4 episodes. And then this last month, I did one on 1 episode. And it was the episode that they filmed right after Garrett and Megan got their cat Bubbles.
Oh God, the cat.
The cat.
Jumping in your lap.
Cat bloopers.
Oh my God, Steph.
Oh no.
Garrett's just like, Robbie's talking and Garrett's just picking up the cat and moving it. So it's like, people.
Aw.
Or something will happen and Robbie and I will mess up on something, and I usually will say, okay, put that, I'll wave around. I'll say, put that, that's got to go in the blooper reel, please. So I'll make a notation by just saying it during the recording.
You're not very professional. It's the bottom line. It's
No.
pretty.
They've been funny as hell though, because we do one once a month, and they're hilarious. They really are. They're great.
How
You guys
long are your
consider it.
recording sessions?
Like
Mhm.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rarely less than 2, and sometimes like last week it was like 3 or
Well,
something.
you guys are talking about our full content for
No, like
Patreon. You're not talking about what we put out for free, right? The free one's pretty quick. It's usually,
The raw footage is between like
Yeah, the
2
raw
hours,
footage.
3 hours.
but
Right.
the non-Patreon one, what is it? How long is that one usually?
Like,
An hour and 20.
Yeah.
Okay. An hour and 20.
Average.
the raw footage is like 3 hours, 4
Yeah.
hours. It's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
How much content then does it end up being for, let's say, the highest Patreon member? What's the full amount that you put out?
Quite a bit.
Well, our full podcast goes out to like everybody who's on Patreon. So it's usually about like an hour and 50 to 2 hours and 10 usually is kind of where it lands.
Yeah, but if you're talking about the highest tier, right, admirals, those guys are going to get the full programming, plus they get the bonus video, which is like a deep dive one that Robbie and I talk about some topic once a month, and also we have the bonus guest interview. So we have the guest interview, the deep dive interview video, Then the admirals get anywhere from 2 to, what's the longest we've done on an admiral Zoom call, guys? Would you say
3 hours, 4 hours?
3.5, 4 hours. Okay, a 4 hour Zoom, 2 to 4 hour Zoom call every month. So they're getting quite a bit of content, to be honest. So
Yeah.
it's quite a bit.
I do a cocktail video every month. I make a cocktail and then
It's so funny you just said that, because I was oh no, we only have a few days to get your cocktail video
I know,
done.
I gotta make a cocktail.
They thought you were joking, I think. No, he does a cocktail video, and I forgot there's more content. I do a Harry's Quarters, which I answer questions, so random questions. So
we have a lot of content, probably more than people can handle, honestly. I think initially we were like, we gotta chart, we have to offer a lot of content so that there are real,
tiers, right?
And value for people, that they're getting their value out of it. And I think people feel satisfied. Yeah.
Well, a lot of Star Trek fans are completionists, so there can't be too much content. They're gonna just watch everything because they can't put it down until they've seen everything, I think. But Melissa, it sounded like you were gonna say something or had a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do the haikus and the limericks factor in there?
Yeah, that goes on the free one. The free one gets
that's the highest tier, man.
In the beginning, just to talk about the haikus and limericks, in the very beginning, because we were evolving our format, in the very beginning, we come back after watching it, and Garrett would say, okay, Robbie, give a quick summary of this episode. And I would talk for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, I couldn't give a quick summary because you start getting into it and you're telling this long story. So finally, we're like, we need something fast, like a haiku. Like, let's just limit ourselves to, like, force ourselves into a creative way of trying to capture a synopsis. And so, yeah, it started with a haiku, and then we added the limerick because, it's fun. Give us each a poem.
Can we get an example?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here, you have a thing on your phone, right, Robbie?
What's that?
Do you want to pull up a limerick that you, let's pull up our last limerick that we,
No, because it hasn't aired yet. I'm going to pull up one.
Let's pull up an old one.
Here's an old one from Juggernaut. The limerick went something like this. There once was a Mayline. This is what I do for
the blooper reel.
All right, let's try again. There once was a Malon waste freighter with a real scary monster perpetrator. Janeway had a plan B, Seven had plans C and D, but B'Elanna ended up the Terminator.
Ooh, very nice.
I don't know what it means. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. B'Elanna saved the day, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here's my haiku for Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy. This
Ooh,
is the big
good one.
Doctor. And it begins. Here we go. And if you remember, it's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables is the haiku. Here we go for Tinker, Tenor, Doctor, Spy. Acceptable risk. Doc dreams himself the hero. Sits in the big chair. So there you
go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was a great Doctor episode. Good one.
It sets the scene.
I did want to ask you, you are in season 7 of Voyager. First of all, I feel like I'm kind of looking at Robbie when I ask this question, but do you feel like you appreciate Voyager more and just can't wait to go back and watch it? Or are you just like, after this, I can't watch Voyager for another 10 years after this. I've had so much Voyager. I need something else in my life. Or is it somewhere in between?
I would say a little of, not both. It's much more, I have a new appreciation, like 99%. I have a new appreciation in a way. I think when we made the show, I was really focused on directing for one thing. So I was just like, sure, I'll do this acting part if you let me direct. That's all I was obsessed. So I feel like I missed really being present as an actor and a human being in the way that the rewatch has allowed me to really be present and watch my fellow castmates, like the great work, so much great work that I had never seen or just didn't remember, and all the associations as I have rewatched it, like, oh yeah, I remember around the time of this episode, this is what was happening in my life or someone else's life. Or, there's all these associations it starts bringing up that's been really cool. So I would say 99% all positive. I think the 1% is because we've been banging through this, like trying to deliver an episode every week. I do feel like when we're done, I can take a break for a while from Voyager. Like I'd like to move on to, we've definitely trying to keep up with delivering the content every week. It's been a lot of, just a lot of watching and trying to keep up with the pace of it. So.
Which the fans are shocked about, to be honest. Like a lot of them are like, I can't believe you guys are keeping up this pace, because we haven't missed uploading an episode every Sunday night or early Monday, whatever, since the beginning. So it's been a gargantuan effort on all of our parts, especially.
One of the fun things that came out of this is the first Christmas that came around, or the first holiday season that came around. We were like, well, do we put an episode? Like, it's everybody, other, stores or whatever businesses shut down. Should we shut down? We're like, no, we can't shut down because people are subscribing and paying. Yeah. So we're like, what can we do different? So we came up with this idea of making up a fake Christmas episode. And we would base it on suggestions from the fans. So every Christmas,
that's dangerous.
We've done.
You are bold.
They would give us little lines, maybe like she's dead, he's dead, Jim, like short little prompts to help us with the story, right?
Yeah.
Or situations, scene, settings, whatever. So
they give us this list. Yeah, it was like an improv thing. So they gave us the list, and we made up a Christmas themed or a holiday themed episode that we pretended was, the unaired Christmas episode. It's just a fun little thing, but that's been a nice little tradition for us with the podcast. And
Lieutenant Llama was born.
Yeah, somebody suggested a Lieutenant Llama the first time.
Milking a llama for eggnog. Yeah,
and the llama became part of the crew. Yeah, so.
The llama is now a holiday regular. Comes back every holiday.
Oh, thank goodness.
Straight to Lieutenant, right past.
Yeah.
You guys always have really cool merch. Who helps you with that, or who does that?
Well, in the beginning,
Becca designs a lot of it.
Well, in the beginning, it started out like I was like, okay, this is kind of what I'm looking at, and then I would tell Rebecca, and then she'd be like, okay, and so she would kind of translate what I told her. Like for instance, for this design, I said I want to use the Coke swoosh, with cursive. And then Rebecca would go through a billion fonts, and she'd send me this, she'd send me that. So very collaborative in terms of kind of coming up with what I envisioned. That was the beginning of our merch. And
so Rebecca's got design skills. Is that right?
She makes a lot of cartoons too.
Yeah, she makes the cartoon stuff for our episodes. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's like our trademark, really. Those cartoons.
There's one
that she does
with long hair from the 100th episode, and I was like, "Can you make this cartoon?" So she made this cartoon with flowing long hair.
Yeah,
it's so cute.
Yeah. If Megan or I grab onto something they're talking about, because I think in that episode Garrett was talking about how he wanted the older version of Harry Kim to have long hair or something. Yeah. And so if we can grab onto something and I can make a cartoon of it just for a little visual in the podcast, I will. But
yeah, on the video version of the podcast, the cartoons will pop up in comedic ways, and it's fun.
That's graphic design, right? I mean, you went into school for graphic desigin.
She didn't go to school. No, she just taught her.
Just a prodigy.
I was a photographer for a few years, and so I kind of dabbled a lot in like Adobe Photoshop and all that stuff, and it wasn't that big of a leap to jump into some graphic design stuff.
Yeah, she didn't go to school for it, but she definitely had the creative edge for sure.
Yeah, it's cute because they're turned into stickers now too on the website. So a lot of the cartoons that are on the episodes are stickers, or they're in our Discord.
Or fans will request saying like, "Can you make me a cartoon?" And Rebecca will make them into a cartoon and send them those stickers and stuff, or that image.
Oh wow!
So
My favorite cartoon is the doctor riding his bicycle with a face mask on, because one time Robbie called Bob while they were doing the podcast, and Bob was on his phone. We could take the rest of the story from there.
Yeah, Bob, we had a question about, we were like, oh, I wonder if...
Mike, can I start it and then you finish it? The beginning was me and Robbie talking about gifts that were given to us.
We're talking about Picardo, right? Bob Picardo.
Yeah. No, well, so Robbie goes, do you remember that expensive champagne that was given to us by production? And I said, what? We didn't get that. He goes, yeah, we did. I swear. I said, okay, let me call, let me call Beltran. I call him up. He doesn't answer. It goes to voicemail. I said, let me call Tim Russ. He doesn't answer. Robbie goes, let me call Picardo. So he called Picardo. Go ahead, Robbie.
So it was a bottle of wine, not champagne, by the way.
Bottle of wine, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, bottle of wine. And I remember they made a special label for our show, like season 5 or whatever. It was a holiday gift or a wrap gift. And
I remember it.
Yeah, he didn't remember. He called a couple of people in the middle of the podcast. Like we're literally recording and we're like calling on our phone. And he doesn't get them. And so I'm like, well, let me try Bob Picardo. So I call Bob.
Bob always picks up.
Bob always picks up. So he picks up. And I'm like, Bob, he goes, hey, how are you? I said, hey, we're recording the podcast right now.
Do you have a minute?
Do you have a minute? And he goes, yeah, sure. He said, I'm on my bike. I guess he had his headphones in or something. He goes, I'm riding my bike, but it's not hardcore. I'm just riding down the bike path right now. Sure. So you could hear the wind. You could hear him kind of huffing. And I was like, so funny. I was like,
he's mountain biking, actually. Sorry.
He was what?
He was mountain biking. That's what he was doing.
Yeah. He was, you could hear him kind of huffing, but he's like, sure, I'll answer the question. I'm like, you sure you don't want to call me? I'll call you back. And he's like, no, I'll talk to you. So I ask him the question, and just as he starts to answer, all of a sudden we hear this. I was like, oh my God, Bob, are you there? Are you okay?
It's totally quiet. And I go, Robbie, you just killed Bob Picardo.
It's okay. He's a hologram. He'll be fine. Just reboot him.
And it was a nervous moment, though, Robbie. If you recall, it was seconds. I mean, it was it seemed like minutes, and then finally we hear, excuse me, I seem to have fallen on some leaves, is what he said, something like that. So he totally ate it, and
he ate it.
He injured his upper butt cheek.
He did say, I think I injured my upper butt cheek.
Yeah.
But he did answer the question, and he stayed in it, and.
So, by the way, do you have that bottle of?
Yeah. Did we get an answer to the question, though?
Yeah. Was there a bottle or not?
There was. Yeah.
There was, right?
There was a bottle of wine. Yeah, he agreed. He concurred after he got up off of falling down that yes, there was a bottle of wine.
I can't remember the answer because I was so terrified that he had almost died. I was
we thought he was dead. We thought he was dead. We really did. But your question to Robbie earlier, Ryan, about whether or not he wants to rewatch, if he wants a break or not, and for me to answer that question, I could jump right back in, starting up season 1, episode 1, start over, second time round would be the name of it for me. So I can.
Yeah, what would that be called in like Star Trek terms, like going, the second pass or something like that? There's something there.
Second full rewatch? I don't know what you would call it.
Timeline, another timeline.
The
time loop with doubles.
Look at that.
Time loop.
Time loop. Yeah.
The double with triples. The triple with double.
The double with triples.
The double with triples. Look at this.
Look at this guy dropping DS9 knowledge and TOS.
I know, like a marketing section.
I know.
So here's the big question. Have you decided what you are doing when season 7 of Star Trek Voyager is over?
That is a big question.
Can I just say one thing, Robbie? I feel like the best way is just to review every day of Ryan Husk's life. We're just going to recap Ryan Husk and his life. From infancy.
You could just do one day and repeat it over and over again. I'm usually just sitting. This is pretty much chronicle my own life just like this.
Robbie, go ahead. I'll let Robbie take it.
I mean, we don't have anything that we can commit to right now, but we definitely have created a community of people with the Delta Flyers family, like our Patreon patrons, just everybody, not even just limited to the people who pay or support the show, but the feedback all over the place has been phenomenal. So I'd love to keep that Delta Flyers family going, and we have some ideas, of ways to have some content that'll be interesting for people and not the same stuff without going back into a time loop and just doing the same thing. We've got some ideas, but we finish up in August. We're actually for the Admiral level patrons that have been a part of this for basically the whole ride, we're throwing a big party in Las Vegas. We're going to do our final we're going to do our final recording of a podcast live in front of that group at this great event space that we found in Vegas. It'll be around the Creations convention so that people can
go to both.
Go to both. And I think probably around that time is when we'll announce kind of what we're committed to doing, but we'll do something.
So you're going to make them wait until that last day and build the anticipation.
It might take that long for us to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that fandom, and you guys know this with the Seventh Rule and with the virtual Trek, like all this stuff, I think the pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes to ways of connecting and to staying kind of engaged with fandom in a way that we didn't before the pandemic. And so, yeah, if it's the Delta Flyers doing more podcasts, or maybe even some new ideas beyond just a podcast that we've talked about, I want to do Star Trek camp. I want to, like, how people go on the cruise and they do all these activities. I want like summer camp for kids, like a kids camp. I want to do that.
For adults.
Yeah, for adults, where we go on away missions. Like, we have different people there, and it could be a cool thing. So we're talking about all kinds of crazy ideas of ways to kind of evolve the podcast family, and we'll see.
I think Robbie and I should start basically doing a podcast documenting our fitness journey, where we both get into supreme shape and become middle-aged Chippendales dancers. And we're gonna
I haven't heard this idea yet.
I forgot to tell you about it. Okay.
Do you guys have any of the fan mail that you received back in the day? Do you still have any of that fan mail?
Oh, you mean from on the set when we were filming?
Yeah. Because when you're filming, they occasionally would hand you a box of all the fan mail that got mailed to Paramount, and I still have some of those. And actually, every once in a while, I'll read one or two, and especially some from the kids that say just the cutest things.
I love it.
Do you ever get a chance to look at those? Look at the fan mail?
No,
I just went.
I have. I don't have my fan mail anymore.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I gave it to. I had a lady that was answering or going through it for me, Deborah Stillwell. Do you remember Eric Stillwell and Deborah Stillwell?
Yeah, of course. I just saw them recently. So.
Yeah, Deborah Stillwell did my fan mail and kind of organized it. And I had pre-printed cards that, had a little photo that she would send back and stuff. So I don't know that I had possession of that fan mail really for much of the time. It'd always go to her. But I wish I did have some of that. That would be cool to go back and look at.
Yeah, Eric Stillwell is credited with writing a Voyager episode. I can't remember which one it is. And he also is credited with writing Yesterday's Enterprise of Next Generation, which is one of the best Next Generation episodes, I think. But I could look it up. I don't remember which Voyager one he...
Wasn't Eric... I think Eric Stillwell was Michael Pillar's assistant or came through Michael Pillar's office.
Yes, that sounds right. Yes. Yeah.
It was a first season Voyager episode, like 7 or 8, something like that.
Wow.
Oh, look up Prime Factors. See if that's the one. Prime Factors.
Yeah, I'm checking right now. I didn't mean to slow everybody down while I'm looking this up here. Let's see. It was Prime Factors. You got it. Episode 9.
Oh,
Nice.
good
Wow.
knowledge.
Ooh.
Good knowledge, Garrett. Off the top.
Sirach, did you find when you went back and rewatched DS9 episodes, did you get something you didn't expect out of that journey?
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of appreciation for the people that I worked alongside with. Most of the time I was just there to do my thing, and as long as I did my thing and I, got that done, I really wasn't paying attention to what everybody else was doing.
Yeah.
And on the rewatch, I get to see what everybody else was doing, and I was pleasantly surprised by Nana Visitor and how amazing I think she is as an actor, and how she played the role of Kira. I really liked that. I was also more aware of how much of an ensemble it was, so it wasn't really captain heavy. I don't know, I'm just now learning other shows, but it wasn't that captain heavy. It was a lot of ensemble. So we had a really good cast of characters that everybody had their own stories, their own character development. And I'm also really surprised by how early that the characters were set into how they eventually became known. Like Quark was pretty much Quark, like from the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't see much, he didn't change much. He did go through things, but the way his understanding of the character was pretty spot on. And same with Odo and all of the other characters. So yeah, my biggest takeaway is how great the other actors were.
Yeah.
And how much I feel privileged to have been working alongside of them and kind of piggybacking off of their success to boost my own. So I appreciate all of that too.
Yeah. You had an awesome cast, really talented people and good human beings. I've gotten to know them more since the show's, wrapped up than I did when we were making those shows. I didn't feel like there was a lot of mixing because we were all so busy. Like you show up at Paramount and we got 7 days to make these episodes. Like go.
Yeah. But I saw Garrett more than I saw anybody else from his show. Garrett used to hang out. Yeah. And I like that about it because he was like, he wasn't caught up in his own bubble. He was actually trying to reach out and talk to other people. So I like that about Garrett. But I didn't get to see you that much while you guys were working. I don't think I ever really saw you while we were working.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't remember going over, even though it was right across the street from us. I remember going to your set ever that I can remember. Yeah, and I think because I had young kids when we were making that show. I mean, Garrett and I have talked about this on the podcast. Like, I would go to work and then I would bail out of there as soon as we were wrapped because, I got a couple of 2-3 young kids at home and just wanting to take those hours to get home. So I didn't hang out a lot. I think Garrett and I have talked about it. We went out for drinks or something once in 7 years.
I asked him every day, please, let's go get a beer after work. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Got the kids, the family. I got to go. I'm sorry. And then 4 years later, we got to go for the first time to have a drink. And
the only time, I think.
And I was like, why today? Why, Robbie? And he said, Carol and the kids are out of town.
I knew it. We'll do it tomorrow too then.
Yeah.
You know what I should have said, Robbie? I said, can I pay to make sure that they're out of town more often? Can I just write a check and send them out of town? Because that's the only way I could have seen you. And it was once in years. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So who were you hanging out with, Garrett? I mean, because I know you wanted to hang out. I mean, did you find somebody to hang out with?
Oh, Beltran
a lot. Yeah.
Beltran was the only guy that wasn't married on the show, pretty much.
Yeah.
Besides myself. So he was footloose and fancy free. And he was, 15 years older than me, so arguably another generation. But we were the two people that were best buds. It was, us laughing. But one of my most memorable times not hanging out with Voyager people was with you and with Donald Faison from Clueless. It was the three of us were sitting there.
Yeah.
And was it you that drove your car up? Did you drive your car up, or who was that?
I would drive my car right up.
Okay,
right
so
up to the
you
trailer.
drove. So Rock drives his car up, and Donald and I are sitting there. Rock gets out, and Donald pretends like he's carjacking the car from. So he grabs Rock and pretends to beat him down and stuff like that. And while he's doing this, there's a Paramount tour that's driving by.
Like, what the hell's going on?
And they're all watching. And the tour guide's, well, now we have the sets of Voyager, Deep Space Nine, and Clueless. And, I'm not sure what's going on here. And let's go over here. Yeah, it was just like the funniest thing that this whole made up little drama was happening. But that was so funny, though. I love that.
Yeah. Shout out to Donald Faison. He ended
that was
up,
Sirach and Donald doing their Christmas special on the stages.
He was doing Clueless at the time, and I used to hang out at their set a lot. Avery knows Donald's family and his parents.
Yeah.
But he ended up. So flash forward after Deep Space Nine was over, and I was auditioning for different roles. I auditioned for the show Scrubs, and so I got to the test. I got to testing. Right, it's me and Donald in the final audition room. Right, and I'm like, I love Donald, so I'm like, dude, it's either me or you. We're gonna get this show. And Bill Lawrence, who was the executive producer of Scrubs, had just come off of Spin City, which was like a hit.
Yeah,
and I already knew that it was. I knew Scrubs was going to be a hit too, because you could tell by the pilot, the way it was written, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't know Zach Braff at the time, but me and Donald Faison in the finals, right? We're sitting there. I think we're at the Disney lot. Bunch of executives in the room. Everybody's there. When you're testing, they make you sign the contract. So you're like signing a 5-year, 6-year guarantee contract. You're like, oh shit, it's going down,
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, dude, it's either me or you gonna get this job. And they picked the right guy, because I'm not the comedy guy, and I was just coming off of drama, and he was coming off of the comedy background. So, and he did very well on that show, and I'm happy for him, man. Really happy for him.
Funny though,
I think
you guys knew each other. You'd hung out, like small world, and so funny you ended up there at that moment. Yeah,
I mean, you never know that that's how it's going to go down. But we both knew that whoever got this job was going to be like, it was going to be another kind of career-changing, life-changing thing as an actor. And that show Scrubs ended up going on for like 10 years, I think, or something ridiculous.
And now they're doing T-Mobile commercials or whatever together because
that's right.
Yeah.
So, but I will say, for the record, thank you for sharing that story. I didn't even know that you were down to that last one, but I definitely think you could have handled that very well too. Just so you know.
Yeah, Sirach's funny as shit, and everybody knows it.
Is.
You would have not. Look, it was down to the two of you. Clearly, it was the flip of a coin at that point. So that's all.
I could have pulled it off, but once again, when you're friends with somebody, like the way you two guys are friends, you root for each other. So it's like, if you succeed, it's I'm succeeding vicariously through you, and vice versa. So I just look like there's enough of the pie for everyone to have a slice. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I have to hoard anything. There's plenty of out here for us, and I'm satisfied with the life decisions and the way my life turned out after that. So, but yeah, that's part of the game. That's part of the business. Is you go up, you compete against each other for these roles, but it's really the best man wins most of the time. I remember, losing a few roles here and there, but after a while, you look back and you're like, I think they got it right. That guy's pretty good.
Hmm.
Did he read for Jake Sisko?
No, he didn't read for Jake Sisko. He wasn't even out here at the time. He was still in New York at that time.
Do you know anybody that did, Sirach? Like that you found out later that did? I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of us that were always in the same. When you go out on auditions, you kind of see the same guys that are always in your
the same cast of
bracket.
characters.
Yeah, you know who they are.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's that guy again. Okay, and so, as a young black actor going out for auditions, there were only a handful of us, the Nick Cannons and those of us that were going out for the same roles. But one of them was this kid named Chaz. He was on the Cosby Show. He also played, I think, Michael Jackson in one of the Michael Jackson videos. He played young Michael Jackson in the Beat It video or something. But he went out for the audition. I remember him. I don't want to blow his spot up, but yeah.
Well, we only got a minute left. We're going to have to run in just a second here. But Garrett, Robbie, Nala, hey Nala, Megan, Rebecca, this has been so much fun. We really, really appreciate you taking the time and talking about Voyager for an additional hour on top of how much you talk about Voyager every week. We really appreciate it. It's been so much fun. It's been a laugh a minute. Any final thoughts you guys would like to throw out there about Voyager or this 3.5-year voyage you've taken with the Delta Flyers?
I guess I would just say, to reiterate maybe what I said before, is like the biggest surprise and the biggest gift to me of doing this podcast is the feeling I get with the fans and getting to know them and the kind of sense of family and community that it's created, especially during the pandemic, where I think a lot of people were feeling disconnected and isolated in a way. And this, our podcast has really been able to create a sense of connection in a way I didn't expect. It's not just Garrett and I doing our thing. It's a dialogue. It's an energy we get from them, and it's been a real gift. So hope it keeps going.
Yeah. I mean, all the people that we've heard from, all the fans that have written emails to us, it's been tremendous. And I guess more than anything is knowing that, something that we have created, content that we have created has been able to touch people and has been able to change their lives, or at least give them a light at the end of the tunnel, is pretty amazing. So that's probably what's the most rewarding thing for sure about this podcast, about this project that we've been doing for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is it 3 years?
Yeah. A lot of appreciation.
Yeah. A lot of gratitude too for everyone who's helped out, and everyone who listens and tunes in, continues to tune in. Really, just a lot of gratitude across the board.
Star Trek has the best fan base, and I've just come to realize that more and more as time goes on. It just reaffirms itself, and the amount of support out there that the people give you, man, and the love that is real and authentic is so uplifting. And it's a community, and that's really what you're talking about, is this community of us kind of working together and sharing our passions, sharing our pain, talking, going through life together. That's really what the emphasis, COVID has brought so much more of an emphasis on how much meaning that is in our lives. And so, yeah, I'm grateful too for the fan base and for the people that show so much love and support out there, from my man Aaron Eisenberg, who really pushed his vision, and helped me get to this level of understanding. But yeah, it's the love, man. It's the community of love, and whatever we can do in a small part to contribute to it and keep it going and keep it alive. I think that's a great space to live in.
Well said.
Well, thanks very much. Really appreciate it. It's been a ton of fun. We can't wait to find out what you're going to be doing next. We can't wait to hear all the fun stories about the shenanigans in August. It's going to be a great time. But Garrett, Megan, Robbie and Rebecca and Nala and Walter. Thank you all very much for joining us. Everybody at home, thank you for joining us. Go check out thedeltaflyers.org. The org is the important part. I don't know what .com is, but it's not them. So go check that out. And we'll see you next time. Hey, what do we sign off on with Virtual TrekCon? Enjoy Virtual TrekCon. I don't know.
Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah. Beady, beady, beady. All right. Thanks, guys.